This is my 2005 Acura TSX with the Honda K24A2 engine. PCV stands for positive crankcase ventilation. It is a valve that allows for gases inside the engine to escape and get burned through the combustion chamber. In this video, I will show you how to replace the PCV valve and clean the EGR plate. Here is the location of the PCV valve on the TSX with its tubing attached to it. The tubing routes the gases to the EGR plate that sits on top of the intake manifold. The PCV system includes a breather tube on the right side of the engine. Here is a look at the PCV system. This is the side angle of the engine. This is an exaggerated long illustration of the intake manifold and breather tube. The black arrows represent blow-by vapors. The white arrows represent fresh air. The blow-by gases accumulate here in the crankcase of the engine. They get routed out of the engine through the PCV valve. The gases go through the hose into the intake manifold and burned out of the combustion chamber. On the breather side, you get fresh air entering the engine. This is air that is already filtered by the air filter. Here is the PCV valve itself. Here are some of the parts inside of it. This is a plunger that slides to open and close the valve. The big spring keeps the plunger in the closed position when the engine is off. When the vacuum is produced by the intake manifold, the plunger gets pulled away from the opening, and this allows the engine vapors to pass through. The OEM manual shows you how to check the PCV valve to see if it is working correctly. With the engine running, wrap the hose in a rag or cardboard to protect the rubber and compress the tube with pliers. This will cut off the vacuum in the hose, and the large spring will push the plunger inside the PCV valve to the closed position. When the valve closes, it makes a click sound. As you compress the hose, you are listening for a click. It's a little bit hard to hear it. If you hear no click, it is not working correctly and it needs to be replaced. Only use OEM PCV valves. The one on my car is clicking. It's working, but it's an aftermarket valve. I bought an OEM one, so let's replace it. Use some pliers to release this clamp. Pull off the hose. Get a deep 17mm socket. Break the valve loose. Unthread it. You need a washer to go with the new valve. The OEM valve did not come with a washer. The old washer fell down here, but I wanted a new washer. The M14 washer size fits the valve. Thread the new valve in with the washer. The torque spec is 33 foot-pounds. And put the hose and clamp back on. We have one more thing to do. The K24 on the TSX does not have an EGR valve. Remember the EGR plate where the blow-by vapors enter the intake manifold? We need to clean that. Remove the 10mm nuts holding the cover on. Lift the cover. Release this clamp and disconnect the hose. These are all 10mm bolts. Remove them all. Take note that the bolt on the ground cable is smaller than the rest. Now you can lift the EGR plate. My 2005 TSX is about 19 years old, and the EGR plate has never been cleaned. I used carburetor cleaner to clean all the carbon deposits off. Spray. Wipe. I even use my rotary tool to get to tight spots. You can spray carb cleaner into these holes to clean them out. You can also spray carb cleaner into this metal pipe. Here it is, all cleaned up. The gasket only goes back one way. You can't mess it up. Hand thread the bolts in first. The torque spec is about 8 foot-pounds. Set your torque wrench down past the 0 to where it's loose. Turn it right until you feel tension. That's 1 foot-pound. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm doing 9 foot-pounds. Now lock it from the bottom. Reconnect the hose. Use water or saliva to get the hose to go back in. Clamp it. Put the cover and nuts back on. The results are that the car idles smoothly now, the throttle response is smoother, and the engine turns on faster. Keep in mind that your engine might struggle to turn on when you first turn on the car after doing this. This is because the engine will need to burn off all that carbon that went inside the intake manifold. There is no recommended mileage for cleaning or replacing the PCV valve listed in the service manual, but according to a Google search, it's recommended to clean it every 30 to 50,000 miles. If you have an OEM PCV valve and you hear it click, you can just clean it with carburetor cleaner every 30 to 50,000 miles, and don't forget to clean the EGR plate too. If this video was helpful, please give it a like, and I'll see you guys in the next video.